Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to today's video. I'm going to start, right away with the map of kind of what happened today. We were on a pretty negative day. We had a lot of declines. One of the heaviest days in a while. We talked a little bit yesterday briefly on the wave count about how the bears, are reaching levels where, they have a chance to kind of start to turn this market down if they have enough power. It looks like those levels kind of came under pressure and they were able to do a little bit of damage today. Now, we're still kind of holding above quite important levels in here, and I'll get to them in a second. But I just want to show you the map in here because the decline fell quite heavy due to most of the large items, most of the, these kind of large cap names, $1 trillion names getting hit. The only exception was Apple and Meta. As you can see in here, they were pretty fine and just kind of holding, if not positive, barely on the negative side. And then, stuff like insurance, and then, a bunch of healthcare that's been actually acting well for the past several days, if not several weeks already, looking pretty decent in here. Then you got some telecom and obviously in consumer defense, if you got Costco, and then you got energy also on the top play. Actually, XOM, I put a chart on Twitter that looks pretty good, I think, for a larger breakout. But it's a slow stock. It's a dividend stock. It might take a while, but it's definitely has a nice formation. So we're gonna be checking that out. But a pretty heavy day in here. You can see also, we did quite a few losses in the crypto. Bitcoin is again threatening to break. Actually broke again below that 100 level. I think it went down as low as 98 and something, and bouncing a little bit in here, but it's still holding that 52-week. We're going to take a look at the longer term chart. I have something to show you on the monthly charts as well in terms of the potential wave count that I'm thinking about. But crypto, it's one of those markets. If it's kind of on the spectrum of risk, is right. It's up there. So in case a risk get hits, crypto market will probably suffer the most because it's such a volatile asset. But still not a big drop in Bitcoin, I would say. So we'll see if we try to hold in here or not. But definitely we're challenging some levels that that are interesting. Most of the defense showed up in value, in large value. This has been the theme for the past several days now, where you could see movements in, again, stocks like healthcare and consumer staples, and you could see the Dow Jones kind of outperforming, diverging from the market, and then a lot of the growth stocks kind of getting hit. You saw things like quantum computers, right, and a bunch of AI names getting hit. Everything that was a bit more frothy and a bit more speculative was the one that was taken down. Some large names got taken down today as well. But listen, it's market. It's not going to continue going without doing a little bit of a shakeup. So this could be one of those things where we're shaking the tree before we have a massive rally into the year end. We can turn a bunch of people bearish, or it could be the beginning of something else, and we'll watch the moving averages, the wave counts, kind of how they develop. But I'm not gonna be solidly set in any camp at the moment. One thing that continues to be very interesting is the bulls and bears index in here, where you can see again after just a pretty heavy last week. Even though we closed very strong on that Friday, I guess maybe the survey was done before that. The number of bears, just it's the largest we've had in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 weeks in here. And we're sitting, 3-4% from all-time high. So it's very interesting to see this behavior. I don't know how this is going to end up, but it's going to be a pretty story down, in the months and years ahead, because of this, the way people think about the stock market right now, being at the top here. So I don't know where all this fear is coming from, but it's definitely interesting. Now you got people like this that put this stuff on Twitter. Tom Lee issues apology to investors at the low in April 7th, I guess, 2025. I mean, listen, anybody can find all kind of statements from all kind of guys and put them on a chart just to look cool. But Michael Burry, as you all know, I mean, today they apparently he sent a letter to the investor that he's shutting down his fund, and this guy was short on Palantir and Nvidia, maybe still is, he still is, and the fact that he's tweeting this stuff or he's doing this stuff, he's acting on this as the market it's moving strong. I think he was actually closing his fund back here. The letter just kind of went out. I don't know. I think it's a discrepancy there, but what have you. It's just people want to think that because he's saying this or because this comes right now, it's the top in the market. Okay, the last bear or the bears are capitulating in here, or they think the market it's rigged or whatever. Or there's too much liquidity, and yeah, I'm curious to see what this guy is going to say. Probably if the market drops a little bit, makes like a fourth wave, and then it goes to new all-time high and rallies another 20%. Then what? So, I mean, it's probably better to see this stuff later than right as it happens. I don't know. I mean, there's so many funny things on Twitter. It's unbelievable. Like you can spend hours just looking at people's tweets and comments and stuff like that. It's pretty addictive, but I try to stay away. But I'm trying to maybe pull some stuff for you guys here and there. I'm sure you've seen plenty of these. I mean, look, S&P futures. This is the weekly time frame. We've looked at this. It's that 50 is that 50-day, the 10-week moving average that's supporting the trend as it's supposed to, as historically does. In uptrends, you do have breaks below it. Every once in a while, the market will dip below it, and then it will push back again. So if we're going to lose it, it's not necessarily the end of the road. I'm watching how many distribution candles we have on a daily time frame and see if they're starting to accumulate in here. Last week we closed kind of on the lows. We'll see how we're going to close this week. Tomorrow it's going to be so. Definitely, if we start to lose the 50-day moving average, things are going to look interesting. But from a daily perspective, this could be just a nice little pullback into the 50-day moving average of 61.8, and tomorrow we can just do a nice little push and just kind of copy this candle to the upside, and then we could be so. I mean, sure, again, like I said yesterday, you can be bearish and it's fine. You just have to know exactly where you're wrong. And if you took that retracement yesterday against this decline into this kind of 78.6, you're sitting pretty today, and I would definitely, lower stops now and just look at about a 61.8 of this candle, maybe somewhere higher, and then, oops, let me try to get back there. And then just probably place the stops a little bit higher than 61.8, 78.6, or even be above the high of this candle, and then just let it see if it continues lower. I do like also the RSI in here, as it's kind of coming into this 50 level, between kind of 50 and 40. It's an interesting zone in uptrends to kind of get involved. So there's opportunities, but I want to see buyers coming in. I would not just kind of step in just because the RSI is here and the price is the 50-day, because you have no confirmation from the price. And then what's next here? We do have Bitcoin now, and let's take a look. So last week we closed above that. I talked about a couple of days ago. We overtook the low from this candle. I was looking this morning. I don't have the daily time frame in here, but I was looking at some kind of a truncated wave and a wave one of the lows to see if it holds. I said on Discord, it looks interesting in here, but this would only be actionable above the B wave. So, and that would be, I think that would have been, at about 105 and a half or 106, and the market never make it there. So that's why it's important to wait. Even though the ABC looks fine, in any wave count you have, even though you have something like, so let's say that you have something like this, right? And you have an impulse from the lows. It's like, man, this looks like a three-wave move. I got to buy it. So, you jump in and, and you start to get involved and you buy it right there. You have no way of knowing if this is not a 1-2, 1-2, this decline, 1-2, 1-2, and then you continue to break lower. So you gotta wait to break above. I mean, that's the kind of the more of the safest thing. It might not work. It might be just an X wave, right? You never know if stuff is going to work or not, and that's why you in most of anything. People, it's 50-50. You can be, some strategies, yeah, they have a higher rate of success, and maybe they're harder to find, but then, it's also money management, things like that. But, you can also be profitable with 30-40% if you're returning 4 times your risk. So, but bottom line is, if this is a strategy that I think it's pretty proven, a long time, that if you buy above the break of the B wave, and you know that confirms kind of the decline, and you're not failing back, usually you're moving above these highs and continue to begin the uptrend, and then you're adding above these levels, and then you enjoy a larger third wave. But if you're buying it here, you're running a risk, and that's exactly kind of what I said about Bitcoin. You got to wait until you get back above that level, because otherwise, what if this level gets taken out and you're going back down? So you're running risks. And if you do anything like that ever, just do it very small. Just taste the waters first, with like a small position to see how it feels, and then you know, I mean, then you're not going to feel like, you're not going to lose a lot. And you're testing a little bit the waters. But anyway, that's just from a strategy perspective. Now, from Bitcoin breaking this here, it's it looks a bit dangerous. We'll see if it's just a shake the tree before we turn. I've been saying repeatedly, it's not actionable. It's not actionable. There's nothing to do. You got to watch the price action here if it responds appropriately, and it really hasn't so far. It had a little bit of a bounce, but not enough. But now I want to show you on the monthly time frames. So, and even here, kind of going back, look at the RSI, right? What it is, it's approaching 40. So interesting levels to pay a big attention to kind of what's going on here. Now, on the monthly, this still looks beautiful. It's an uptrend, right? We're breaking the uptrend the moment we break below of this candle. That's when you're going to have, instead of a higher high and higher low, right, you're going to move and have a lower low below this level, and then eventually you'll get a lower high. So now, in terms of the wave count, this is interesting. I've been thinking about this for a while. So what if this says something like that: wave one, wave two, right? And then you have another one, another two, three, 4, and 5. This kind of fights the idea that after 1, 2, and 2, you're getting an extended third wave and you're pushing it higher. It's not, illegal to counter like this. There's really nothing wrong with it. The only structure is this one in here, that is basically this guy here, that is just a bit tighter as it's pushing to new highs. But if this is a wave 1 and this was a wave 2, let's say that we completed a wave 3 right there, and you can be doing a wave 4. Usually wave 4s get into the prior area, of a lesser degree wave 4, which would be that one. So if you dip back into whatever this is, 70 something or 75, 80,000, whatever this level is, you could be doing something like that. Plenty of people will panic and lose their minds over this, but as long as you hold above this level, I think you still have a nice uptrend, and this could be where you're pushing back and you're continuing to go, and maybe into an extended fifth wave or another fifth, then you correct again, and then you go. So, it's something I was thinking, as I was, just kind of looking a little bit at the ebbs and flows of Bitcoins in here, with such a nice, kind of uptrending structure in here, beautiful impulses, correction, impulse correction, and so on. So something to kind of think about. And then, probably if we do sell off, let's say all the way back here, then by that time probably the RSI would be back towards 50, which is, again, an ideal level to look for in uptrends, and especially on a monthly time. So that would be a big signal. Anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. As always, I will see you next week.